This week on In Her Words, we have the pleasure of meeting Asia Naomi King. Asia Naomi's role in the hit Apple TV series Lessons in Chemistry is getting serious Emmy buzz. She is as smart, funny, sweet, and beautiful as you imagine. We hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did. I am so excited to talk to you. First of all, I am a How to Get Away with Murder first episode to last episode, never missed one, and have been following you. I loved that series and thought it was just so much fun and got so crazy.
I know.
The crazier got the better. The crazier the better. But it just when we get there, I mean, just talking about the women and the people that were involved with that show that you got to work with. Oh my gosh, you've been very honest and very forthcoming with your changes that you made and how everything kind of happens for a reason. So I'd love it if you could kind of walk us through that, because I think it's so valuable. There's so many people that think, oh, I woke up one day when I was 2 and I wanted to be an actor and here I am and the path was straight.
No, yeah.
So, I just really loved hearing your story of changes you made and decisions you made and why and how they got you where you are today.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, for one, I thought I was going to be a doctor. I'll start there. Growing up, my father always said to me that you had to pick a career path where you would always be necessary. And I thought, well, what is more necessary than medicine? And I held this belief system for so long but it wasn't based in any kind of joy or passion or desire. It was just like, this is what you do to be successful. And of course, at the same time, I was president of choir and in the drama club and the things that I was truly passionate about and enjoying. I just always thought that that's not a real option. People don't get to do that because, well, that would just be too amazing. That would be too wonderful. No one gets to just live this wonderful life doing the thing that they love. That's not real. And, I was in my senior year of high school when I kind of had a little bit of a nervous breakdown, because when it came to everything involved in terms of math and science and trying to go after these things that I was trying to convince myself that I wanted, I didn't excel at it because I wasn't passionate about it. So I was struggling, and it was giving me low self-esteem. It was making me feel dumb, and I'm not dumb, and that's that I had to have this reckoning with myself where it was look, your life might not look the way you think it should, but it can look the way you actually want it to, if you would just give yourself permission to follow this thing that you are actually passionate about. And there were lots of tears. And I just changed everything, which, changing everything was actually changing very little, because the only thing that really had to change at that point was my mindset, and
at a young age.
I know.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I think there was a part of me that craved stability because that's what my parents had provided for me. We grew up in a very picturesque neighborhood in a small suburban town that just felt wonderful. And I wanted to be able to have that. And there was a kind of chaos that I felt accompanied going into this industry where you may not know where you're going to be or where the next opportunity will be. And I really did have this moment of, I would rather be in a repertory theater in the middle of nowhere doing this thing that just fills me with so much purpose than having any high paying job where I hate it and hate myself in the process. Yeah.
How did your parents take the change?
Well, I think because of how dramatic I was and there was so many tears, they were kind of okay, what, Like, just go explore that. But I also don't think they thought it would be like a permanent thing, you know, because as much as they like, you know, parents love and believe in you and think you're like the best thing ever, my mother's also very realistic. And I'm sure she thought, well, you know, she'll try this for a little bit and then she'll go get a real job, you know? And I mean, gosh, talk about like once you do find your purpose and you're able to order your steps in that direction, the things that just fall in line. Like I for my undergraduate degree, I went to UC Santa Barbara, and when I applied to that school, I didn't even know that they had a 3-year conservatory theater program.
Oh, wow.
Had no idea. So when I was accepted there and then discovered that this program was there, I was like, oh, well, this is exactly what I'm saying I want. Right.
Yeah.
So I auditioned for that and I got in, and it just opened my world in the most massive way, because without that program, I would have never learned that there was grad school for acting.
Right.
Like
well, you went to the granddaddy of them all.
like exactly, you know, but it was thanks to that I learned like, oh, like you can keep doing this, like, and get like a master's degree. And that's when I applied to Yale and was lucky enough to be accepted into that program. And then that just like, you know, is like everything just kept topping each other and just kept feeling like I was aligned in my purpose, because these wonderful things are occurring for me. And so then being at Yale, being surrounded by just so many inexplicably talented creatives, like not just the actors, the directors, the writers, the designers, and we all got to collaborate and work together, and it kind of created the basis for how I operate on any set, in any project, like to be able to value everyone's contribution, because we're this like beautiful team building something. Like, even if no one sees it, we get to see it, we get to experience, and getting to live inside of that just feels so wonderful. It's so soul fulfilling to get to do the thing you love with people that love it just as much as you. And that was to this day, like, and I've had some incredible experiences. Like, I've had some incredible experiences. But that, to be so green, to still know so little, but experiencing so much, like I still think to date that was just the most incredible experience of my life. And I have these lifelong friendships from it. And like, these are people who have just nurtured me along the way as I have continued on this career path. Because then, of course, you leave Yale and then you're out in the real world, and it's all of a sudden it feels like, wait, there's this whole other aspect to the business that never came into play at school, because school was about art.
Right.
Now out in the world, it's about business.
Yeah.
And that became like the icky thing. Like, like that doesn't feel good. Like, I didn't get in it for that part. Like, now you're talking about like marketing and numbers and, you know, like stuff that like matters and is relevant to sell something, but like it's not really relevant to like what we want to create.
Right.
And like, and I would be around these, you know, the creative showrunners who are like, okay, like I've got to do this scene or create this. And it's like, and then it was up to us, the actors, the artists, to like, now how do we make it real? How do we make it human? How do we make it something that we can believe in? You know, and that's something where I feel so lucky that I have been surrounded by such phenomenal women, like being a part of Shondaland, having Viola Davis on a set, like when we did the crossover, and like, you know, being on a set with Kerry Washington, like seeing how she operates, like, you know, in Lessons in Chemistry now, being on a set with Brie Larson, seeing how she operates, these beautiful women that understand the business but refuse to let go of the thing that matters most, the art and the creativity, and how to create a space of belonging where what everyone is giving to it matters so much. So Yeah. So I feel like my story in a nutshell is just one of blind faith and kind of leaping with your heart into the unknown and seeing what may or may not catch you, but taking that risk. And I'm so glad I did. And I mean, obviously, I've been very lucky. I do think luck is a huge part of the equation. And it's actually something I tell a lot of younger actors because I want them to understand, like, just because you don't get this job doesn't mean you're not talented.
Right.
Like,
There's hard
like
work and there's luck.
exactly. Like it's not a reflection of your ability. So much of this is luck. You have it in you. Now you just have to last. You have to endure this. And that's the question you have to continue to ask yourself. Like, can you tolerate that discomfort of not knowing if you will get that opportunity or if there will be another opportunity? Is it worth it to you? Like, can your heart handle it? And like, you have to have a kind of grounding in your heart to be like, I have decided this is what I will do. And I will create this for myself in my life, whether someone's giving me an opportunity or not. Because I do think it is very much in our nature as human things to just try to make things beautiful and be creative and create special moments out of the ordinary, like it's what we innately do. And so if you can find satisfaction in that while you aspire to this other stuff, then you can make it.
Well, that's an amazing philosophy. What was your grounding as you came out of the bubble of Yale and started trying? You obviously had some things that didn't work out, that you were turned down, that you didn't get. I mean, everyone does. There's not. What was your grounding that said I need to keep going through that? How did you personally work through it?
There has been so much heartache for me. And I think when I was first starting out, like after I graduated, for me, it wasn't about getting the job. It was about making a good impression.
Mm.
Like, I wanted this casting director to like me, or this director to like be like, oh, she's good. Like, I wanted to make an impression on people. And when that was my goal, then like it felt easier. It felt attainable. And then like when I started getting closer to opportunities and like, I would get like a guest star here, or then not get the guest star, or get a commercial and then not get it. Like once you taste that little bit of like, oh, I could pay my bills doing this, like you start to crave it a little bit more, and it starts to become less about making a good impression and more about like, no, now I really want the job. Like I want the opportunity, like choose me, pick me. And once it starts bleeding into that, like that's when pain really enters the equation. Because we do so much as actors, learning the lines, finding the perfect outfit, your hair, your makeup, like what time you need to leave to show up, the traffic you drive through, like what you eat that day, how your stomach's gonna feel, practicing maybe what to say when you walk into the room to like get a quick laugh and just like feel grounded or connected to the people in there with you, like all this preparation, and then you're in that room for 2 minutes,
Oh my
a minute and a half.
Right.
And then all of that is just still sitting inside of you because you've done all this work, and you leave that space and you're just living with this like, well, is it going to be me? Is there any feedback? Could I have done something better? Should I go back? The number of times that I have tried to go back into the room to be like, wait a minute, maybe it's more like, and like, no one wants you to do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And I'll never forget this one audition that I had, and it was something that I did the audition with the casting director, and then they like brought me back for the call back, and it was a really big opportunity, and I will never forget doing this scene, and the casting director is looking at me, and at the end of it, because there's like tears in my eyes, she had tears in her eyes and started like reaching out her hand towards me and touched my face and just looked at me, and I was looking at her, and we were so connected. And I walked out of there like, I just got this job. I did it. Like something happened. It was magic. You know, it's like I felt magic. To then get the call, they're going to go in a different direction. The producers don't like, you know, the producers want someone else. And I couldn't get out of bed for a week after that. Like I really had to question. I was like, I don't know if I can take that. Like, if I have it in me to give so deeply in that way. It's so much work to feel so connected, to feel so close, to be doing everything right and still not get the job. And I mean, I didn't quit. I kept going, but like, it was like,
Does
you
it get
know,
easier?
it was it's like, well, let me tell you. So I went in for that project and I didn't get it. A month later, I got an audition for How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, it still gives me chills to this day, because had I gotten that job, I wouldn't have been available for this. And How to Get Away with Murder was the biggest opportunity of my life. Like, it was even greater than that job I didn't get. Like, and it just, it was one of those moments where it's like the universe or God or whatever you believe in, like there is something looking out for you. There is something that is crafting the most perfect opportunity to come towards you. And like, and you can't see it. And that's why you have to believe in it, you know, and like, and that's why it hurts. It hurts to believe that there's going to be something better. It hurts to believe that there's going to be something else, because it hurts to open ourselves up to the heartbreak. But like, what if that's not true? You know,
we hear
like
that so many times. Once somebody framed it as, you know, you just have to keep going around that next blind corner, and how scary that can be. Like, no, you've got to turn one more corner.
One more corner. That is so true. And that, I mean, that is really exactly what it is. These blind corners, and you just have to keep going. You just have to last, because I tell you, and it is a story I tell often, because I didn't see the opportunity of How to Get Away with Murder coming. Like, I was, you know, heartbroken a month ago and ready to like leave this business, and thought like, you know, the greatest thing slipped out of my grasp for absolutely no reason. When in reality, it was like, because there was something even greater that was truly meant for me. That was just within reach. That was just right there. If I just waited a little bit longer. And it actually helped teach me to manage disappointment, because today's disappointment is tomorrow's blessing. Like, I am so happy that I was disappointed and didn't get that, because I was blessed in a way more massive way with this other greater opportunity. And so now when I go out for something, I don't get something, it's like, okay, there's got to be a reason why, you know? And like, and that wasn't meant for me. Maybe someone else has been disappointed, and that's that person's blessing, you know? And there's something else waiting for me. And like, and that has just helped to propel me forward. It's been a nice, like, guiding call that's just resonated with me because of my experience. And I tell you, it happened again with lessons in chemistry, the exact same thing.
Really?
The exact, like, and this was a day apart. I didn't even have to wait.
They don't make you wait so long anymore.
Like,
the universe isn't making you wait so long.
Because it was literally like, I was going in for this. I'm with the producers, the director, the tears, the magic, all the same thing, thinking it's mine. haven't heard, like, we do the thing the next day. Hey, the showrunner wants to meet with you for lessons in chemistry. And like, oh, what about that thing I just went in for? And they're like, well, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. We'll wait to see, but like, take this meeting. And in that meeting, they were like, we would really like you to do this. Like, and it was,
And to dig into lessons in chemistry, which is, I mean, just phenomenal on so many levels. I mean, a best-selling novel and this amazing series, but they changed the character for you.
no.
I mean, that is when, and I remember when the first episode came on, and I'm watching, I'm like, wait, what?
Like, right?
And
Like, huh?
so can you talk a little bit about that? So not only is this a blessing of something that you just think you lost, and now there's this great opportunity, but this role, I mean, this character now was changed and created for you.
Yeah. It's like a friend of mine was saying when all this was happening and I was talking to her about it and just feeling really confused. She was like, sometimes it's just meant to be easy.
Yeah.
Because that was so easy.
Yeah.
And it was like,
It's
go where
so
you're wanted. Like, yeah, not everything has to be a struggle. Like, just go where you're wanted. And they made it so easy. And it was a really beautiful process. And then the magnitude of how they wanted to change this character and expand this world.
Mhm.
I was blown away by it.
Mhm.
Like, it was like, what? Like, you want to tell her story and you're going to have her be this activist who's like a mother, but she also like has this like strife in her own marriage and she has her own ambition and she's not just going to be there as some sidekick, but we get to like sit with her
Right.
with everything that she's going through, her joy and her pain and just understand like the multiplicity of her being. And I could not have imagined something as spectacular as this character, getting to just dive into the nuance of all of her. And honestly, walking onto that set, like I was feeling a little insecure. It was also after I'd had my child and like, the pandemic and everything like that. And walking into this space where everyone was so lovely, I was just like, I was feeling intimidated. I was feeling really intimidated, and I wanted so badly to live up to this great character that was being crafted for me. And I had to remind myself, it's like, do your job. Just do your job. Don't be so like blown away and like terrified. Like, it's Apple, it's Brie Larson. Like, look at this gorgeous set. Like, oh my God. It was like, no, like, do your job, which is to invest so deeply in this woman and to figure out her world and what her needs are and what's pushing her forward. And then like the fun started for me of like figuring out how she moves and how she sounds.
The clothes. Oh my gosh, how fun.
Oh my
Clothes.
God.
And the hat.
Oh,
But this character, I mean, the way that they changed it and you embodied it, it's so rare to see, a supporting character for make the story so much better, make the main character so much more interesting.
no.
Your story and your character made Calvin and Elizabeth so much more interesting. And I read a little bit about it in some of the articles, but I lived in LA my whole life. I did not know about the Sugar Hill neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, just
you and me both.
I mean, what?
I
What
was
are we
like,
doing?
wait, what? Right here in LA? Like, I drive on this freeway. Like, there was a thriving Black community here, and it was just wiped out.
Right.
And I mean,
why don't we learn that? Why don't we know about
because
that?
we never learn these things.
Oh my gosh. And I didn't really even know, I mean, in watching the series, but then it even came more in more reviews and was, people were kind of digging into the series. It was so interesting.
Yeah. And I have been so fascinated at, because like learning about like neighborhoods like Tulsa and now Sugar Hill, like I didn't learn about that stuff until I was an
No,
adult, out of
no,
school, you
understand.
know, like, and, we do ourselves such a disservice. And I don't mean ourselves, I mean like our educational
Society,
system
ourselves.
does us such a disservice by glossing over like these communities, these beautiful examples of what people were creating together with one another. And it made me cherish the story that much more, that we got to see it. We have the episode with like the cookout
Yes,
outside, and
yes,
you get to understand just how like vibrant and wonderful this was, how these were like intellectuals and
yes,
doctors, and I mean, and in the actual neighborhood, like Hattie McDaniels had
right.
a mansion, and she was an Oscar winner, and like Ray Charles had a recording studio, and there was like a famous architect that lived there. Like, it was this beautiful community, and real people who really fought to save it. And that just gave me so much fuel to show the fullness of their lives, and to understand that, like, yes, like, it is devastating that they lost this community and their homes, and God only knows with eminent domain just what they got for their houses that were lost. But I do think, because of how just capable and strong and powerful and passionate the people of this community were, I do think that they went on to other places to create that elsewhere. Like, I hold that belief system in me that, like, for Harriet, this isn't the end.
Mhm,
Like, it's only the beginning,
mhm.
because she's going to continue to use her ingenuity and her smarts to like fight for people and move forward. And that's why, like, that very last scene, with her and Elizabeth, when she just kind of falls into her arms because she's been like holding so much,
So
trying to
in a
endure.
relationship,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, and you see
yeah,
like this beautifully earned relationship, and I really love that you see the nuance in that, like this radical honesty with one another, this vulnerability with one another. And it's funny because, like, you're so right, I do play a supporting character, but nothing about it felt supporting.
no, it's
Like, I
not.
was
It makes them more human. It makes them better. It makes the
yeah,
story so much
like,
better.
we're truly a part of
Yes,
each other's
yes.
lives in this very real and fundamental way. I was like, wait, what? Like, we're doing the scene, but we're talking about me? Like,
Yes, yes.
like, it was so great to just have all this connected conversation about not only the real place, but about like what this friendship is, and that shared loss of Calvin, and then this shared community that they're both a part of and love and are raising their children in, and what it means to be a woman and to have another woman that you can
Yeah,
connect with,
can connect with.
like,
And I think the sense of community is what stood out, and what I think for how it was then and what it is now. Do we know our neighbors? Do you have somebody? Could you
yes,
run across the street if there was a an issue? And it, that sense of community, and that, just like you said, if a Harriet, when she's moved on, wherever she's moved on, she's building that. It was too
yes,
important. It was
yes.
too important for her kids. It was too important for her that she would ever live someplace where she couldn't build that together. And I love being able to make up the next story for our characters. They're great characters, and we did such a fabulous job. And we're like, oh, we know what happened to her, because we know we can tell ourselves the rest of the
Like,
story.
yeah, we really can, because these characters are rooted in something so relatable and so real. Like,
And the
we
book
we
was
know
that
that
way
they
too.
go on.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
you
book
want
was
it
that
together.
go.
You want it together.
It was,
How was I? The series was so great, and obviously the casting, like you said, Brie Larson, and I mean, it's just so amazing. But two things that I wanted to ask you about. So the responsibility of this book being so beloved, and the characters and everything, how it felt to adapt that, but also these different women directors. That was such an interesting structure
No.
that was put in place. How was that? I mean, you've worked, like you said, with Shonda and Viola, and I know your next project that I want to touch on, you have, Maggie Kiley's directing, but this, with Lessons in Chemistry, these different women directors, was that?
I mean, I think, yes, it was fabulous. It was fabulous and efficient and always on time.
No, we usually are.
Like, it's what we do, guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is something about that, right? The energy on a set when you've got a woman directing, women as your leads, like there's like just this unspoken, innate understanding. You're diving into these scenes and just everyone gets it. Like everyone gets it on this like deeply profound level that you don't even need to say anything. Sometimes you say something as to be like, yeah, that thing, that's what we're gonna, okay, that's what we're doing, great, and everyone's just on the same page, which probably just saves a lot of time in the end.
Yeah.
But the directors we had, the world that they created, it was just so beautifully shot, and like just the lens that we were looking at things from, the point of view of these women and what matters and how they see themselves, and the dichotomy of like how others want us to perceive ourselves versus how we are forcing them to see us. And there's just so much of that is just shining through this. And I felt like it was the best way to honor this kind of story, coming from Bonnie Garmus, who had the experience she had, and then like writing this book that ended up being such a huge hit, but I believe she like came from a very like heavily male dominated, world. And then she like wrote this story, and it's like, isn't that kind of all of our stories that were existing in these still very like male dominated arenas, and like and still we rise. And so it just felt like the most natural thing in the world to be surrounded by women. And like, again, because community, like having that community, especially when the conversation is about identity and as a woman in this time period, and being a mother and what that means, and versus like what we're forced to think it means versus how it really feels, and fighting the ideals so that we can just be fully human and love ourselves in the chaos and mess of it all. It all honored the story to just have this like all these women around, and it just felt so great.
Well, and when I was looking through the work that you've done, and obviously these big huge projects, is it luck? Is it by design? You have worked with some amazing women, and especially in this world. I mean, there's still not a lot of women directors, and not a lot, and all in all of your major projects, you're getting to work with a ton of women. Do you look for those things? Is that just an awesome surprise?
Like it is, it genuinely has been an awesome surprise. Like I feel so lucky because every project I've been on, I have just been surrounded by actors that I love, who are like, no big egos, just everyone really connected to the work and wanting it to be something great and wanting to do it together. Like just a real sense of collaboration and teamwork. And I don't know why I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. And I'm so grateful for how lucky I've been. And like, even on this project now, I'm like, my God, I love these actors. I love being around them. Like, and we're filming in Atlanta right now, and it's just been so wonderful to be in this like it's a new community for all of us. None of us has ever filmed here, and like we've just been like discovering this place together, just spending time together and creating like all these shared experiences so that the history of that will like come across in these scenes.
No, No, yeah, Grosse Pointe Garden Society. That's what you're filming in Atlanta, right?
Yes,
It looks
yes.
so yeah. Then I know that we can. The announcement was in the trade so last week, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway, it looks so love the idea of it, and it's going to be a series on NBC, right?
Yeah, and
They're filming the
and
pilot right
it's
now.
beautiful. Yeah, we're filming the pilot right
I
now. Meg
love the concept.
Kylie, she's brilliant. She
Right,
is
what an
so
amazing female
brilliant.
director.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's so
a
amazing.
great one.
I want to ask you a little also about about your L'Oreal partnership and being a spokesperson, because I think obviously you are stunningly beautiful, and these women that you're with, Ava Longoria and Helen Mirren, I mean all but it's really the messaging in this project that, and hearing you talk, obviously we've never met before, but just hearing you talk for this last, it seems like, I mean, what a fit for you to be a part of this ad, or this project that they're putting together. And was it appealing to you because it was so real, and this learning from your failures and undermining women, kind of tamping down our talent. I mean, it seems like that is something that you really are careful about, and you really are paying attention to. So is that why the ad was so appealing to you, or the project was
Yeah.
so appealing?
When L'Oreal started talking about wanting to do this project, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was wonderful because, social media is great. It can be a great way to connect to people, but sometimes we only get like this one version of someone's life where it just seems like they're always winning, and that can make you feel like you're losing if your life doesn't look like theirs. And I think that's what L'Oreal does so well, the way that they just want to champion women to believe in themselves. Like the, the deep, certain belief of your self-worth, that should be everyone's anthem, that should be the thing that propels you forward in life. Like, it is my most favorite thing that we say, the tagline, at the end of every commercial, but even the story around how that came about, is phenomenal, that it was created by a woman advertiser, you can, in the 50s or 60s, in this time period where so much was all about men and a man's point of view and a man's desires, and women
How
just
do we look perfect for men? Yeah.
like how to look perfect for men, and we're just like commodities, like as if we have no agency. And this woman wrote the words, because I'm worth it.
Yeah.
Like, and not because he said so, but because I say so. And so, yes,
That's known taglines. I mean, when you say L'Oreal, you automatically think, because I'm worth
I'm
it.
worth it.
I mean, that you know it exactly.
Like, right? Yeah. I love that, like, kind of in front of and behind the camera, L'Oreal truly believes in that. Like, I've been a spokesperson with them for, I'm like 5-6 years now, and everyone is always so kind, so wonderful, and like they just really want to champion women, and they've created other campaigns that were not about products, but just about relating to women, talking to women, reminding women how much they matter. And in a way to say, like, because everyone matters, everyone should believe how much and believe in their self-worth and believe in how much they matter. But if we don't if women don't take the agency, take that truth, and live in that truth, be grounded in that truth, like it just does such a massive disservice to humankind, the world in general, like we're so important.
Well, and the simple messaging in this project of kind of how we talk to ourselves.
Yes.
I think that's what I loved about it even more, was it wasn't so much that you need other people to know about your failures and they'll tell you that you're okay. It was more about, no, you need to know you're okay and
Yeah.
that everybody goes through these things. And I love that they include you as a young woman, because it's easy to say, oh, Jane Fonda, she's got $1 billion. And of course she can say, I learned from my failures and I've done that. She's got a 60-year career.
Like, right.
Yeah, we can all be like, okay, but but having the Jane Fondas and the Helen Mirrors and the Eva Longorias and the Asia Naomi's, I mean, that gives such perspective to everyone.
Yeah, yes. The wide and vast array of women, of human experience, that we all go through this. We all have these what feel like massive failures. And to me, it's like, yeah, but you can only fail if you try.
Yep.
You know?
We don't have to wait till we're 80 to be okay with it. We can be okay with it when it starts happening.
Failure can be a blessing because it means you tried something, you learned something, and now you get to go out and try again. And the more you fail, the less scary failure becomes. Like we used to say in acting school, fail big. Yeah. Like take the big risk, fail big, go after it, go for it. Like, what have you got to lose? We have this one precious life and we have to give ourselves permission to jump in and really live.
Yeah, no, teaching ourselves that we're okay, like waking up that next day and being like, I'm still here. I'm okay. That this happened. It's such a gift. It's such a gift. It's one of those things that you wish you could tell your kids. You wish you could tell your friends.
Yeah.
Everyone has to live it and learn it, but it is. It's such a, it's such a gift to yourself to wake up that next day and be like, oh, I made it through that really crappy day or experience.
It is. It's a gift to yourself to say, I can fail and still go on.
No, it is. Well, Asia Naomi, I can't believe we've already been talking for 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
This is the easiest conversation. You are so, so lovely. And so thank you so much. So I always like to end with, and I know you're filming in Atlanta and so busy with this pilot, but share with us what you are you watching, reading, listening to right now that you're loving? We love to share books or shows, anything. Trust me, we get a lot of Real Housewives, so don't be
I mean, like right now, I am obsessively listening to Beyonce's Cowboy Carter.
Oh, you love Beyonce going Western.
I love Beyonce. And I love this album. And I love I love every single song on it.
I love it.
Yeah. And
Did you get to see her in concert last fall? Were you able to? I know
no.
Everything. I
didn't make it, but I'm like, I'll make this one happen though.
Well, it was so nice to meet you, and thank you for taking the time. And we're very excited to see Grosse Pointe Garden Society, and we're so excited to see what happens with Lessons in Chemistry during Emmy season. We wish you all the best, and thanks for spending time with us.
Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. You are such a delight. I have really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. To stay up to date with In Her Words, join the conversation by following Women in Entertainment on our social channels and subscribe to our weekly newsletter at womeninentertainment.com.